Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy, the Golden Boy. Today we are back on Apex Legends, and first off, I want to say I apologize for not uploading in these past few days. It has been extremely hectic. If you guys do follow my Twitter, you guys will see that I got a brand new setup. I had to redo my entire room. I had to repaint the walls. I had to set up the new desk, chair, all that kind of stuff. So that took me a few days to get all prepared and get ready and get set up. And along with that, I'm still having to do these 20 bombs for people that are willing to pay. So if you guys are willing to pay for a 20 kill badge and possibly a 4K, 4K is a little bit more expensive. So if you guys do have questions about that, just go ahead and message me on my Twitter or my PSN. If you guys want to get that done, I will go ahead and get that for you. I'll let you know, and I'll tell you when I can do that. Pretty much as fast as possible. It's usually pretty quick that I'm able to do those. But moving on to the actual video itself, right? It is a pretty highly requested video. People ask me a lot of the time, why does it look like my guns don't have recoil, or how do I control the recoil management on a lot of these weapons in Apex, right? I feel like a lot of these weapons are extremely easy to control, maybe besides like the Spitfire and, you know, weapons like that. But if you guys are struggling to maintain the weapon's recoil, there's no real secrets behind it. It's just a small little thing that you guys can do to help your guys' recoil. But I feel like this is going to affect people depending on your POV and your sensitivity, right? So I rock a 4-4 sensitivity. So this is me looking around the map just on my 4 sensitivity, and this is me aiming down sights. So it is kind of quick. Like, this is me just shaking it back and forth, but like I can control it pretty well, right? Like I can move around people's head and all that kind of stuff. But I know people that have higher sensitivities are going to struggle with this a little bit more, because what you're going to want to do is on your right thumbstick, you're going to want to hold it down slightly to where it goes down very, very slow, right? So if you're on a higher sensitivity, it might go down really quick because you're on a higher sensitivity, but you want to hold down your right stick and go down extremely slow when you're shooting the weapon. But it's going to be different for everybody because your sensitivity is going to be different and your POV is going to be different. I rock 90 POV, so this is the screen right now for my 90 POV. I know if you switch to like something like, I don't know, like let's go to 110, and you see that it's completely different, right? Like, it's just a completely different sight. But I like rocking 90 at the moment. I might switch to 100 and try that out for a little bit. I love 90, to be honest with you. But moving on to the actual recoil reduction itself, right? So when you aim down sights, and you look around, depending on your sensitivity, this is the weapon when I'm just free shooting it, not controlling any recoil. It goes up, to the right, and to the left. I'll do that one more time for you guys. Goes up, to the right, and to the left. Now, a lot of these guns have the exact same recoil pattern every single time you shoot the individual weapon. They're all different recoil patterns, but each one will stick with that same recoil pattern, you know what I mean? So this is me controlling the recoil. I'm just slightly bringing my analog stick slowly down, just holding it down while the recoil is trying to bounce up. And it's pretty much staying in the exact same spot. Look, I'm able to stay in that, around that exact area. It doesn't move almost at all. It stays in that area, so I'm able to hit easy headshots across the map. And this works extremely well for longer range engagements. Like, I'm able to beam that for 126. So if you guys have not used the practice range, I definitely feel like if you're trying to figure out recoil patterns and stuff, use the practice range. And try and shoot for the farther targets that are a lot harder to hit, because as you guys can see, the weapon will still bounce around sometimes, and then sometimes it'll be extremely accurate depending on how well you're able to control that recoil, because the recoil is going to bounce in certain ways, and as you can see, it's going to be a little bit harder to control it sometimes. But once you get it down and completely perfect, you're able to recoil reduction. It's just insane. Like, you're able to beam kids. Like, those super long range engagements, like over here, I still tend to struggle with just a little bit. Like, I can hit fairly amount of my shots and everything if I'm really trying to like hit the target and everything. But from like up close, easy beam. And then medium range, easy beams. You know what I mean? I'm able to hit almost every single shot. And this applies for other weapons too, like the R99, right? I have a different variant on this site. I really like this site, this variant. If you guys do rock certain variants, I do tend to notice that some variants are different, not in the recoil pattern, but in the animation of the weapon itself, like the wingman, for some reason. There's like a glowing orange or a glowing blue one. I feel like that variant of the wingman is so costly. It is the worst variant in this entire game. I shoot someone with the variant of the wingman, and it goes to the left, comes back down, but like, it's so fat. Like, the variant is so fat that I'm not even able to see the target for my second shot. So I just prefer this variant of the R99. This is going to be me shooting the weapon with no control of the recoil at all. It goes up and slightly to the right, but for the most part, it goes up and just straight up. That's it. And if you guys can see, I'm slowly going to hold it down. My right analog stick, I'm going to bring it down just a little bit and control that recoil reduction. It's going to go up and down just a little bit, but it's going to stay in the exact same area for the most part, which is a huge difference. Like, if you guys can see, like, if I back up, I'm able to hit most of my shots on these targets. So I'm able to laser these kids with the R99. Now, it does vary depending on if you're moving back and forth. If you tend to move back and forth, I feel like the recoil is going to be a little bit more strong rather than like if you're staying crouched and you're standing still. If you're staying crouched and you're standing still, it's going to be a little bit easier to control that recoil. But if you're moving left or right, it's going to want to fly up in the air just a little bit more. But I like to move left and right just to stay a harder target for people to hit. Especially with light weapons. With light weapons, you have a little bit higher of a strafe to like move back and forth, as you can see. With like a heavy weapon, it would be slow. It would be like, you'd be like moving back and forth very slowly. It'd be like that. You know what I mean? So for heavy weapons, I think it's a little bit better to hip fire, like specifically for like the Spitfire or something. If you have the Spitfire from like, let's say this close, I'm gonna want to hip fire. I'm not gonna want to be like this. If they're just, unless they're completely standing still. If they're completely standing still. Excuse me. If they're completely standing still, then there's no point not to just be like bang, bang, bang. But most people are going to move around, maybe jump around. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to be like that a bunch. And as you guys can see, with the recoil and everything, with the hipfire of the Spitfire and shit, is completely accurate. But Spitfire, I feel like, is one of the harder weapons to control in this entire game for recoil pattern. But you can still do some extreme work. Look, if you manage the recoil, you can laser kids from far away with the Spitfire still. This is me without controlling the recoil. It's just like shooting around. It'll be all over the place. It'll bounce everywhere. This is with no barrel or anything too. But if I control it, it goes left, right. It's a little bit harder to control. You guys can see that. But you can still control the recoil pattern even with the hardest weapons in this game and hit for a dumb amount. And I feel like the longer you shoot the Spitfire, or a gun like the Spitfire, like heavy weapons and stuff, the more it becomes inaccurate. So it's like, if you pause like this, I feel like you would be able to do a lot more accurate shots rather than if you just hold it down. If you hold it down like this, it can tend to bounce extremely hard from those longer range engagements. Or you can just tap it like this, right? Tap and still hit for a fuck ton of damage, you know what I mean? So those are just a few weapons right there. I know people are going to want to do like the wingman and everything. And I know a huge disadvantage for me for like the wingman is like I tend to spam fire it. So what I've been doing recently is I've been timing out a shot. Like, so this is the fastest I can shoot the wingman. Just back to back to back. I like to take a split-second pause in between just for just a little bit of reassurance that I'm hitting my target. So 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? Like, I won't just be like bang, bang, bang. I'll just space it out just a split second. So 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? And then energy weapons. I know energy weapons should get a nerf soon, man, because energy weapons are absolutely broken at the moment, especially because you don't really have to aim in or hit fire or nothing. Like, one of my favorite weapons is the Havoc, just for overall use, because it's so broken, man. Like, I'd rather see him nerfed. Don't get me wrong. I'd rather see him nerfed at all, but it's just a fun weapon to use at the moment because of how broken it is, right? So, as you guys can see, this gun charging up, it'll go straight up, and it'll kick a hell of a lot. You guys will see that it will kick a lot, up to the damn moon, right? But you can control this so easily to the point where it's broken as fuck. Look. This gun ain't going anywhere, bro. It's almost the most accurate. It's almost more accurate than the fucking 301. Look. Look at this damn thing. It'll go up for a little split second. And then if you hold the trigger down, or you hold the analog stick down, you're hitting for dumb amounts of damage. And you can do this from insane ranges, too. Like, that's just disgusting that you can do this with an energy weapon, because it does so much DPS. The Devotion, I feel like, is the hardest weapon in the game to control recoil besides the Spitfire. Spitfire is pretty hard to control, but Devotion, I think, takes the cake. You charge it up, and it's just Up close, it's a melter. It's not going anywhere. But from those long ranges, it's going to be a little bit harder until it winds up. And then once it winds up, it might shoot to the left or right. But this thing, once it's fully charged, man, look at this thing. It's so devastating. A little bit harder to control. Goes left and right, as you guys can see. But that's going to be the end of the video, guys. Hopefully energy weapons do get a small nerf in the future, but that is going to be how to control recoil in Apex Legends. There's no crazy secrets. It's literally just holding down the right analog stick slightly, depending on your sensitivity, how much you need to control that recoil. Hopefully, guys, do implement this into your gameplay because it will enhance it tremendously for your aim. Trust me, once you get used to this, if you're going to firing range, do this once or twice a day and just get used to the recoil patterns of every single weapon, it can be extremely deadly. You guys will be dropping nutty games, 20 kills easy, trust me. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys do, be sure to leave a like. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.